Hi everyone, my name is Chandria. In this video, you will follow me through my story of learning in the course of ECS210 Curriculum as a Cultural and Social Practice. I hope you enjoy. Curriculum. One would think you need to know what curriculum is in order to be successful in this course. I initially thought, well, that's a good thing I know exactly what it is. But I was wrong. You see, I used to think that curriculum was just a big binder that teachers carried around to inform them on what they needed to teach. However, throughout this course, I learned that curriculum has more components and aspects to it than that. To begin, we learned about Kumashiro's idea of common sense. His idea of common sense is the way that societies conform to what is normal and expected. Therefore, any other way of doing is pretty much dismissed or seen as wrong. These normals are not questioned or challenged within society because it is routine and challenging it poses a bigger risk than following it. However, as future teachers, it is important to confront these ideas of common sense as these ways are often oppressive. Common sense in relation to curriculum is not something that everyone needs to follow exactly the way it states. In fact, it is meant to be challenged and redefined through questioning and teaching. In order to ensure our future students are receiving quality education, it is important to adapt new ways of teaching and go above and beyond what society expects of us and what common sense has confined us to. Throughout our journey, we were often asked to reflect on our schooling experiences. I found that when I was in school, getting good grades, sitting nicely and attentively, not asking a ton of questions, and finishing my homework on time is what I had to do to receive praise from my teachers. These actions follow suit to the common sense idea of a good student. I also learned that this way of teaching conforms to the idea of the product curriculum model, where the student's success is calculated through a checklist and grades that would tell them if they achieved what was expected of them or not. As an educator, I hope to incorporate curriculum as a process and a praxis within my classroom. In doing this, students will be invited to explore and take responsibility within their own learning. Taking this approach will help to be more inclusive for all students to learn and encourage them to be their own person and not what society tells them they should be. I hope that when I become a teacher, the ways in which I approach teaching will be inclusive to all individuals of different learning styles. In order to be inclusive of all, we as future educators need to see the importance in teaching treaty education. I learned that there are many different ways to incorporate treaty education into my lessons and that the possibilities for cross-curricular learnings are endless. I also learned that I need to be aware of what I am saying and teaching in my lesson so that these concepts are not taken the wrong way. Learning about treaty education in the classroom is also a part in my journey where I found that I was uncomfortable. What made me uncomfortable was the fact that there are still individuals who do not see the importance in teaching this topic, and they are often stereotypical and filled with bias. As a future educator, it is important for me to be aware of these biases and that I do my best to eliminate them from my classroom. In regard to biases and stereotypes, we also touched on the topics of single stories. I am glad that this was brought up because it is important to understand that we all have underlying biases. It is our jobs as educators to eliminate these biases. This was an uncomfortable reality because I hate to think that I am capable of being stereotypical. However, coming to terms with the actuality of single stories can help me recognize when they come into play, and therefore, I can become a better person and educator for my students. As a future teacher, I believe it is important to teach students about single stories and stereotypes, because if we as individuals immediately believe everything we hear, the truth will become lost, and people are then seen as lesser than or unequal. Overall, this class has given me the opportunity to better understand curriculum and that it is much more than just a written document. I have learned ways in which I can create relationships with my students through the acknowledgement of biases and reflecting on my own experiences. I am thankful that my eyes have been opened to these new opportunities of learning, and I am excited to apply what I have learned in this course to my future teaching career and even my own individual growth.